Former Senator Bill Napoli calls Mike Rounds a mud puddle. And Ed Randazzo rants about John Boehner's latest surrender. Brian Nickens from the Healing Revolution will be with us, and you'll hear more from South Dakota's own Dr. Laura. That and more today. Stay right where you're at. You don't want to miss it. There are a lot of important things happening in 2014. Senator Bill Napoli, one of them is what's going to happen to the seat that Senator Tim Johnson now occupies.
Well, if I was a magician, or what do they call a fortune teller, whatever, I could tell you in a heartbeat what's going to happen. But I can tell you in a heartbeat what's going to happen anyway. Tim Johnson's not going to run. There's just no way. There are political pundits and there are political experts, and they'll all tell you the same thing. He was losing ground steadily in his last race, and if there would have been another month in that general election, he would have lost. So
would you suggest that he's likely to not run, or if he were to run, he'll lose?
Oh, absolutely.
Either way, Tim Johnson is history, what I hear you saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, well, and I don't think they're going to take the chance of running him because they know he's not going to win.
Two questions then. Who do you think is who's the heir apparent on the Democratic side to the Senate seat? Who do you think will run there? Will Heideprim run?
There's 2 or 3 different people that are being groomed, and my mind is blank right now thinking who they are, but it's a little far out. But Heideprim, of course, is a very good candidate, and he's very articulate.
In either party.
In either party,
and he's been in both parties.
Yes, he's capable of adapting to about anything. Yes, absolutely. And then on the Republican side, of course, we've got some very strong challengers. We've got Mike Rounds, who did such a wonderful job as governor. He came in at $30 million deficit and left with $125 million. And that's a perfect guy you want to send to the federal government because they're very good at that sort of thing. And then the second, of course, is Kristi Noem, that's talking about running for that seat. And I think she's probably pretty well got that in the sack.
Well, let me ask you, which one do you prefer?
Well, you have to understand my philosophy. I've given up on Washington. I've given up.
Have you really?
I absolutely have. There's just no change that's going to happen. We've lost John Thune. We're losing Kristi Noem. Of course, we never had Tim Johnson. As far as, and I'm not just talking in conservative beliefs. I'm just talking about beliefs of the people.
What about Mike Rounds?
What about Mike Rounds?
Well, you say we have lost John Thune. We're losing Kristi Noem. What about Mike Rounds?
We never had Mike Rounds. Mike Rounds never really knew where he was when he was governor, and I don't think he knows where he is today. In all honesty, and I'm being as blunt as I can, he's going to go down in history as one of the most inept governors we ever had.
Even behind the likes of, say, a Frank Farrar?
Oh, absolutely. Frank Farrar left office with a balanced budget that was actually in pretty good shape. I mean, he left office and did a good job. I knew of his office. I was there when he was there. And of course, I was served with Mike Rounds, and I saw what he did, and I just can't believe it. And I'm very concerned that people are going to vote for Mike Rounds because he's so good looking, to a man that left us with a $125 million deficit, a real deficit, not a structural deficit, but a real deficit, $125 million, and walked out of office smiling that he thought he did a good job. That is amazing to me.
So, if you could put in a word or a phrase what the Mike Rounds legacy is as governor, what would it be?
I'm not sure he's got one.
Okay.
I'm not sure that you can
So
see
maybe we should send him to the U.S. Senate so he can develop a legacy.
Right. Well, honestly, there's 2 things that have amazed me in the last several years. One was the election of Tim Johnson. And I predicted he was going to win because he had 80% approval rating when he got hurt. And he had enough time that if he would have lost a certain percentage until November, he'd have made it. That's exactly what happened. He didn't win because people were proud to have him. They just liked old Tim, and slowly that base was eroding. And so the second one, when he got elected, that just really bothered me. And the second one was Mike Rounds, when he announced that he was going to run for the Senate, and the press shamefacedly said, "We think he can win." And I thought, here's a guy that left us $125 million in debt, and they've already predicted he can win that race. What are we electing for people to go to represent us?
Right now, there's a package gift wrapped on the desk of Mike Rounds, and it's got inside of it the Tim Johnson Senate seat. What's going to, or who's going to take that from him?
Kristi Noem. There's no doubt in my mind. She's going to run for it. It's the natural step for her, and she's going to win it.
What if she chooses not to run?
She's not going to.
Okay, well, I guess that's the word from the expert. You've been there, you've watched it. Do you think that that bothers Mike Rounds? The prospect of having to challenge Kristi Noem for that seat?
No. No. It doesn't.
Why do you say that?
Mike Rounds is so full of himself and so arrogant. He actually believes he's a very popular governor.
Well, the polls would tend to indicate that's true.
Yes, the polls do. But everybody has to have a base. You've got to have a solid base of support to win an election. I had a solid base that gave me 60% vote, and then I'd gain and lose above that 60% every time I ran, 7 different times. You have to have a solid base. Kristi's got a solid base right now of conservatives and somewhat mainstreamers and a few liberals, but that base is there. Mike Rounds does not have that base. He thinks he does, but he doesn't. I like to compare him to a mud puddle. He's about this big, but he's about that deep. And that's his base. And that's going to disappear so fast, it's going to surprise you how quickly that's going to go away.
Well, I wish we had time to find out what you really think.
I'm being honest. What would you rather have me say?
I think this is
perfect.
perfect.
Gordon, I love you like a brother. Does that make you feel any better?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
You don't want to miss the next conversation that we have with Senator Bill Napoli. He tells it like he sees it, and he sees it like it is.